I'm timing myself.
I can do that for you, Peter.
There you go. And I think this is a terrific event. We have, I'm honored to be recognized and inducted into the Maine Ski Hall of Fame this evening. And this is I think everybody agrees that this is a fantastic venue. It's always been at Lost Valley, and this is a terrific, I think, step up. And you all deserve a marathon award. Speaking of cross-country skiing, we have had all large amounts of alcohol, food, and you're still hanging in there. Good going. Hang in there just a little bit longer. It's really, you know, I've been involved in the ski sport, cross-country skiing for 60 years, and I've had really hundreds of starts. And it's pretty difficult to be up here and summarize it in 5 minutes, we're told. And the preceding resume in the program, I think, covers the ground pretty well. And this is cross-country skiing is a very close community. It's a small community. And whatever I achieved with support and help from many people. And the first person that I want to acknowledge here tonight is Dick Osgood, who's been inducted previously. And I don't believe he's here, but this guy, as far as I'm concerned, invented the idea of tough love. I didn't even know what it meant back then, but fresh out of the military, Dick Osgood was the coach for Edward Little High School, and military was really his style. And there was no soft and fuzzy Dick Osgood. You came ready to ski and ready to train, or you went home. And that idea and that approach really was what allowed me by myself to ski race for the few years as I got started. Cross-country skiing has really shaped my life in many ways. I'm not going to recount all of the events and break it down because the summary in the program does it pretty well. But I do want to acknowledge, in addition to Dick Osgood, who got it all started for me, I want to acknowledge Marty Hall, who's here tonight, is a former U.S. ski team national coach, Olympic coach for the U.S. and also for Canadian ski sport as well. Marty's he was instrumental when I was floundering all by myself. He was an Eastern coach, floated around to different programs, and he encouraged me as a sole ski racer at New England College, and encouraged me in many ways, and throughout the years has supported me. And he was also responsible for submitting my name to this committee, and I appreciate that a great deal. Another name that I want to acknowledge here tonight is John Caldwell, who was a member who was the U.S. ski team coach when I was coming up, and he encouraged me and supported me and led me the way for, let's just say, proficient technique, because I was less than refined back in those days, and he pointed out my flaws and encouraged me to improve and get better. Also want to recognize Tom Upham, who was a UNH coach, also here tonight and part of the Ski Hall of Fame. He was, because he was an Auburn resident and preceded me by several years, he was always encouraging me when I was racing and knew I was alone and would support me whenever he could, and for that I'm grateful. But I also want to recognize my family, who put up with my single-minded devotion to cross-country skiing over the years, both as as a parent, and wasn't always easy. So my family is here tonight, and some of them took a lot of time to get here. I want to acknowledge Wade, my oldest son, who came from New York City with his family. My daughter Maya, who came from Vermont with us, and Rudd and his young family who came from San Francisco. And with them, I think also the youngest members of the audience tonight, 6-month-old Isabella and 7-month-old Wilder. I also need to and want to recognize my wife Nancy, who has steadfastly supported me, and who's relentless, I'm sorry, my timer just went up. So, and I didn't tell you that my timer was set to a specific time, and now it's gone over. Specific time, which is a theme I want to come back to, but it was the time that I set out. It was a goal of mine to run under 6 minutes for a timed mile at age 60. The time that just went off and passed, thankfully, is the time that I achieved. I'll mention that in a minute. But Nancy's steadfast support and whose relentlessly positive outlook and attitude has conquered serious heart episodes and continues to enrich my life and others around here. And for that, I'm forever grateful. But cross-country ski sport has taught me a lot. And the biggest part that it has taught me is the devotion and single-mindedness and focus on hard work. And I'm not going to recount many of the races or any of the races that I've skied and run over the years. I want to talk to you about one race that I think really changed things for me. It changed my attitude about skiing, and it changed my attitude about life. And it was the normal progression. If you look at the resume, I went in the 1970 World Championships in Vice-Hockey-Tatre, and the normal progression would be the Olympic team to follow in 1972. I did not make that team. And that team, and it wasn't because I quit skiing or stopped skiing. I was skiing actually at the high point of my life. The tryouts consisted of 4 races. And the first 2 races were mediocre. And it came down to the 3rd race, which was, as we all know, one of those do or die, make or break events. And it was coming together nicely. I was skiing fast, skiing well, and then suddenly I overstrided and I broke a ski. And back in those days, there weren't fiberglass skis, they were wooden skis. And that was basically, 5Ks into a 10K race, and it was over. I was able to kind of hobble along, get another ski several ways down the track and finish the race, but it was a dismal result, and certainly not one that would put me on the Olympic team. And the 4th race was an average race, but I missed the team. And what I was confronted with was failure. Failure to achieve my goal, which everybody's goal is an American wants to make an Olympic team. That's kind of the penultimate. And I didn't make the team. And I was confronted with, what do I do? I've hit the wall, I didn't make the team. And so I took a while while to kind of sort it out. And at that point, I realized that sport is not who you are, it's what you do. And a lot of people get that mixed up, and their racing becomes who they are, and their proficiency in racing is dependent on their personality, and that's wrong. And a lot of times our youth get mixed up in that. And so that informed and really shaped how I worked and coached skiers later in Linden Institute and then Telemark Academy. And it, I think, was a turning point in my life, and it really framed my devotion to the sport. I continued to race, and while I always wanted to do well and improve, it wasn't who I was, it's what I did. So that's the race that got away, but it's the race that also kept me at the sport and allowed me to help others. And so in closing, I want to come back to the time that I set my watch for that I missed badly. It was 5:56, and that was my time for a mile at age 60. And so I encourage all of you that are 60 and under, or even over, not to run under a 6-minute mile, but to become engaged in the life sport, cross-country skiing if you can, or any other part of skiing if you will. And remembering that you don't stop playing because you grow old. You grow old because you stop playing.